What's up, everybody? Joey's like, she's like doing like she's gonna catch me in it. She's gonna get. This is Kind of Funny Games Daily for Friday, September 22nd, 2017. I'm one of your hosts, Greg Miller, alongside my Irish cream.
What up,
Danny O'Dwyer.
I'm on the what do we call
time
it?
codes.
Time codes, but it hasn't started yet, so I don't know.
Hit the time code button. There we go.
And we're
Good
off.
job. And we're off. Things are going smoothly
It's
over
Friday.
here. It is Friday.
Usually a slow news day.
Let your hair, not today.
So we can be
Everything's
that
on fire.
lackadaisical.
No,
but not today.
Not today. No, everything's
What?
crazy today. Lots
Jesus.
of big statements, lots of big things. Let's get right into it.
Yeah.
If you didn't know, this is Kind of Funny Games Daily. Each and every weekday on a variety of platforms, we run you through the nerdy video game you need, well, news you need to know about. It's been a long week. We give you perspective, we answer your questions, we have a good time, we hang out because you go to kindoffunny.com/KFGD and become part of the show. Remember, you can watch it live as we record it on twitch.tv/kindoffunnygames. But we don't look at the chat. The only way to interact is to tell us what we screw up as we screw it up over at kindoffunny.com/you're-wrong. You set the record straight. We read it at the end of this show, and everybody who watches it later on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames or podcast services around the globe gets the right story, and everybody has a great time. If you like what we do, as so many of you do, please head over to patreon.com/kindoffunny or kindoffunnygames. Toss us a few bucks. Say thanks for what you're up to.
Do it.
Don't forget about Danny O'Dwyer. He's doing it too.
Hey, I'm doing stuff too.
No clip, you know? It's a thing. It's happening. Patreon.com.
It's happening. It's now. It's current. It's
No
games.
clip is-
It's games.
No clip is now.
No clip. It's
Future
games.
forever. No clip. It's games.
The past. It's now.
It's only the past and now.
Yeah, it's
really.
mostly the past. It's mostly
Speaking of the future, tomorrow, Tim, myself, Andy, and Nick all head down to, and Kevin. Sorry, and Kevin.
You can come
Kevin,
too,
we're
Kev.
not leaving you out this time. I apologize. I'm so used to just leaving them here. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like a potato. I don't take potatoes with me when I travel. We're all going down to LA to be part. I'm sure you. You just grow wherever you go.
You want something going right now?
Heading down to LA to be part of this Let's Play family reunion. If you're unfamiliar with it is, it's us going down with Rooster Teeth, Achievement Hunter, Sugar Pine 7, all of them, and staying in one house for 2 days for this all-day stream both days. It's part of this Rooster Teeth program. You can find all the details over at twitter.com/kindoffunnyvids. We'll obviously be live streaming down there, not on our channels though, over on those. The information is on the link on the thing. If not, you can just see all the shenanigans on our Twitter and whatever we come back with from what we make and post on our YouTube channels.
Shenanigans.
Shenanigans. However, I digress. Let's begin the show with what is and forever will be the Roper Report. Time for some news. 7 items on the Roper Report.
A baker's dozen!
That's why we're bringing you, because you're trying hard, Kev. I love it. First one is the one that set the internet on fire. Kindoffunny.com/KFGD is a place people go to ask about the news and have a lot of opinions about it, and then ask questions about the day. It's all, hey, here's what I think of this PUBG versus Fortnite thing.
Right.
Hey, let me tell you what I think about Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, which I love. Great stuff. Everybody wants to be part of the conversation. Let's start at the top. As you know, Danny O'Dwyer, Fortnite has been out in this early access, get into it, all this different stuff.
We were talking about it a couple days ago.
Exactly, PvE. They announced this PvP mode that is Battle Royale. It is PUBG pretty much, in pretty much.
PUBG with the trappings of Fortnite.
Exactly.
All the Fortnite's already doing with a bit of Battle Royale sprinkled in
Yeah,
there,
let's
right?
get in there. Let's get in there and do some of the Fortnite business, as they say. When they put out their initial release about this, and they say, "Hey, we're introducing this new mode," the headline reads, come and fight all these different players, and as it gets small, and everybody's like, "Oh, eye roll. This is literally PUBG."
Right.
And then I remember when we read the news story on this show, we gave credit to Epic in the fact that they're like, "Hey, we're all big fans of PUBG, and we think that gameplay, some of those mechanics would work really well in our game, so we started this PvP mode, and now we're putting it out there." They put it out in beta. Beta went so well. The next week, they're like, we're just going to put it out for everybody.
Right.
Yesterday, I complimented them because it was, if you bought the game to get into the beta, we'll refund you just for this because this is why you're doing it. It was like, oh my God, Epic's doing everything right.
Yeah, a lot of goodwill with their community, kind of doing it the way, and getting ahead of the whole, look, we know what we're doing here.
We know we're copying them. We know what we're doing. And meanwhile, PUBG, of course, setting all these records, becoming the most concurrents on Steam, continues to sell 1 million copies. Everybody looks great in this situation.
We were doing the whole Coca-Cola Pepsi thing, right?
Yeah.
PUBG is always going to be up there. There's a battle down here for the free-to-play thing, and that's cool, and they're all doing their own thing.
Today, Bluehole Interactive decided to get involved. Of course, the developers of PlayerUnknown's Battleground doing all
the whole
this different
Blue.
stuff. They put out this release. I'll read it in full. Bluehole Incorporated, developers of PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, PUBG, the first standalone battle royale survival shooter game, responded today to growing concerns regarding the similarities between the battle royale mode in Epic Games' newly revealed Fortnite and PUBG. Quote, "We've had an ongoing relationship with Epic Games throughout PUBG's development, as they are the creators of Unreal Engine 4, the engine we licensed for the game," said Chang Han Kim, vice president and executive producer for Bluehole Incorporated. "After listening to the growing feedback from our community and reviewing the gameplay for ourselves, we are concerned that Fortnite may be replicating the experience for which PUBG is known. The development team for PUBG has no relationship to Fortnite's development, as concerns around user interface, gameplay, and structural replication in the Battle Royale mode exist." Quote, "We have also noticed that Epic Games references PUBG in the promotion of Fortnite to their community and in communications with the press," Chan Han Kim continues. "This was never discussed with us, and we don't feel that it's right." With its release on March 23rd, 2017, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds is a last man standing shooter that drops players on a realistic 8x8 kilometer island where they start with nothing in an ever diminishing field of play. Gamers must fight to locate weapons, vehicles, and supplies as they strive to be the lone survivor. In a recent Reddit AMA, e.g. Ask Me Anything session, Brendan Green, aka PlayerUnknown, was asked about
their brackets.
I know, right? Other companies replicating the Battle Royale experience. Quote, "Other companies will, of course, enter the marketplace, but I would just hope they put their own spin on the game mode and not just make a carbon copy." Chang Han Kim closed, "The PUBG community has and continues to provide evidence of the many similarities as we contemplate further action."
Fortnite's getting the frying pan. So there are like different levels we can talk. 100% to this about.
100%.
Should we start with the whole press release aspect of it?
I want to kick it over to Andrew McAdamy, who wrote into kindafunny.com/KFG and asked the question so many people did, right? "Hey, Greg and Danny, after hearing about the controversy surrounding PUBG and Fortnite, I was initially surprised as the Battle Royale mode is clearly not an original concept. However, after reading some of Bluepoint's vice president's comments, Bluehole, my apology, in which he states they believe Fortnite is replicating the experience for which PUBG is known, it seems their issue is not with the Battle Royale concept, but that it's too similar to their own game. What are your thoughts on the comments? On the one hand, I sympathize with Bluehole, especially with regards to Fortnite referencing PUBG in their interactions with the community and press. However, I believe developers should have the freedom to create a game, no matter how derivative, provided it doesn't use any assets from the original. This allows developers to take a game as a blueprint and iterate and innovate, and the competition between the two games will promote improvement for both games and the genre as a whole. I'd love to hear your thoughts, especially Danny, given his knowledge and experience with PUBG, on whether or not you believe Epic are infringing on anything with Fortnite, and if you think Bluehole's comments hold any weight. Thanks and keep up the great work, Andrew. So yes, let's start then with the release. What was your first thought?
I think this feels like an inappropriate way to go about this. Everything about this, I think there are two sides to the story. Almost every aspect of this, I can empathize with either party, right?
Yep.
Bluehole coming out and formalizing essentially what is their problem with people invading their space. Perhaps this is them being quiet, knowing that all these other companies are going to come in and try and basically replicate the financial success that PUBG has had, and this is them broadening the shoulders, just being like, all right, we know people are doing this, but at the very least, could you stop copying our game wholesale?
Yeah.
I find it difficult to talk about this without acknowledging the business relationship that both of these companies have, in that PUBG licenses Unreal tech for Bluehole do for PUBG. That means that they pay royalties. I don't know what the exact thing is. It's usually 5% for Unreal Engine, which means that 5% of the 10 million sales have that money has gone to Epic. So they have communication lines there, and they have some sort of collaborative, communication between them. So when you think about that, and then you think that essentially Epic's already making money off of this, and perhaps maybe, I don't know, using maybe the engine team and the dev team are two different things, but you can see that they're satisfied with this. They're making here,
teams.
Right?
Yeah.
Or within the business unit, and then over here they're essentially taking their game, which may or may not be doing well. We don't know.
Sure.
And then they're essentially throwing in a PlayerUnknown's Battleground clone in a much more copy-pasty way than we have seen from other people. The etymology of PUBG is a complicated thing, where Brendan Green comes in, where H1Z1 was, DayZ, Arma 2, Battle Royale, all this sort of stuff, right? But largely, it could be said that PlayerUnknown's Battleground has been an iteration from one creative individual throughout different teams. What this is essentially a pretty big company. Like, Epic is owned by a large Chinese conglomerate, right? Sure. So it's them coming in and sort of being like, okay, we're going to take what one of our business partners essentially made, copy it, and put it in the game. I think they should be allowed to do that. Yeah. I think the developers of Fortnite are probably disconnected from all of that 100%. Politics,
That's
right?
the biggest part of it, I think.
So I can totally empathize with Fortnite that they're not going to sell 10 million copies. I mean, they're not going to sell any if it's free to play.
Right.
But you know, they're probably not going to release that. So I can empathize with them that this is probably feels like to them somebody shooting down. I can also empathize with Bluehole in thinking that this is somebody shooting down to them because it's a major company who they're already giving money to.
It's such a weird thing, and I was over on the GAF thread, and the GAF thread broke it down at the top, like in the original post of like, well, keep in mind all these things, and it was all these very intricate details that I don't have the ability to fact check before the show of like how the business relationship is this, but like they're owned by company X, but this is how this works, and that there's a competing I think it's more of the fact that I think Brendan gets it more than anybody, right? Other companies will, of course, enter the marketplace, but I would hope they put their own spin on the game mode and not make a carbon copy. Right. That said, right, I don't think Fortnite is a carbon copy. Again, I've watched the trailer and we talk about it on the show. Correct me if I'm wrong, it's still the Fortnite mechanics of I'm building a base and I'm doing all this stuff. I'm not just running into buildings and trying to survive. It's the same way I find it fascinating here, right, of like, for me, I do not know the developers of Fortnite. I do not know them or anything like that thing. Fortnite is this underdog game, right? It doesn't matter how big the company is. It came out and it didn't set the world on fire. And there's an audience and there's a niche that likes it and plays it, and they're great. They did this, they put it out, and it was like, oh man, you guys are doing this so right. Hey everybody, we're making this PvP mode. We love PUBG. We think that some of those mechanics would play well here. We're open about it. We're honest about it. We're gonna give you the refund.
Right.
It isn't, you know, we have a different team working on PvE, which is the core of Fortnite, which is there, blah, blah, blah. Like, we're trying to make this work, right? Meanwhile, GTA and Rockstar do the exact opposite. Hey everybody, here's a mode where you parachute in with, I think it is 100 other people.
No, it's two teams of 4.
My apologies. And the world does get smaller, and it's like, you read that thing we talked about in this, like, we knew it was gonna happen, didn't think it'd be GTA, ha 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 ha. No mention of PUBG, no acknowledgement of like, this is what's happening. This is what's happening in gaming right now. And Bluehole isn't making a statement about them. Now, granted, they didn't say this, but I can think of and I don't get me wrong, I don't think Bluehole is completely wrong. You put it right. I empathize with everyone in this situation. Right. But in terms of this, like, Andrea put it really well in her rant today on Twitter of like,
I actually missed this. I think I was probably driving over.
She summarized it at the very end of just like, and this is something we used to say at IGN all the time, right? Is that Coke doesn't talk shit on Pepsi. Like, PUBG is a runaway success. It is this huge thing. It's this giant movement. It's making money hand over fist. You don't need to worry about what Fortnite's doing to try to stay relevant and try to stay alive, and especially when they are doing it in the right way of paying the respects. For me, it would be akin to, and not the exact same, but akin to like when we started PS I Love You, not acknowledging that we're just copying the Beyond format. Right. When we started this show, not acknowledging we're just using the same ideas and stuff we've developed and honed over time. Like, there's a lineage to that of like, okay, cool. Like, there's a way to be a dick about it, and I don't think Fortnite's being a dick about it. And again, PUBG's within their rights of like, no, this is our thing and we made it. Now, granted, you're basing it Battle Royale on the movie Battle Royale, and there's like all these different things. It's not like you came up with this concept of like, oh man, you know, it'd be cool if people were on an island and it kept getting smaller and you kept dying. But it's just this weird, like, maybe it is a shot across the bow, maybe it is this different thing, but like Alana Pierce put it really well on Twitter, right? Is that literally PUBG doing this is the best thing they could have fucking done for Fortnite.
Like maybe we do sort of still exist in our like little video game bubble, so like how broad this gets is one thing. But it's like I think the underdog element of this is like really critical to it, right? Because whenever there's an us versus them situation, us as like humans, we sort of we side with the one that we empathize with most, right?
Yeah.
And on one side, you can totally say that the Fortnite team, like Epic Games, are making like Unreal Tournament, that beta version, with like a really small team, and I think it's amazing that they're doing it. And the Fortnite team, I'm sure, isn't that big either, right? But they're also owned by fucking Tencent. So it's like, at what stage?
Oh, that's the company that came into this conversation earlier.
Are we talking about the fact that like they, you know, yes, they are an underdog, but like, are they more of an underdog than this other team from South Korea who were nobody 6 months ago and have had this runaway success, but like are also still an independent company operating in a market where probably Tencent are the biggest company, right?
Yeah.
So I can see that. I can also see the GTA argument. You could also say that like that mode I feel like is very not as much of a PUBG thing as Fortnite. Fortnite had an island made. I mean, GTA 5 has been an island for 4 years, right? And also, it's not the whole island. It's only like a very small area. It's more of a team deathmatch kind of variant.
Yeah, you played it the other night.
I played
it
a couple of days ago. Yeah.
It's the GTA version.
Yeah, it's actually kind of an amalgamation of two modes they already had. The biggest difference, I think, is that the parachute thing happens.
Okay.
That's like unabashedly a PUBG thing, right? Which also was in Fortnite. And you could say that like Fortnite's mode is certainly not a carbon copy, but the elements that are new to that mode that weren't already in Fortnite are.
Yeah.
So like it's not like they stripped out all the building mechanics,
and getting
but
resources and
but
shit.
lots of the stuff, and it's not wholesale because the way they handle inventory and the way they carry pickups and I mean just fundamentally the combat in that game is totally different from PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, right? It's like comparing a Minecraft to America's Army. They're not the same thing.
When we talked about this earlier in the week was the fact that, oh wow, that's really cool. They're bringing PUBG stuff to Fortnite. They're doing everything right. It still was that thing of, I don't think I'm gonna play it because I don't want to build shit. I don't look at Fortnite's gameplay and be like, I get it. That makes perfect sense. Whereas when I look at PUBG, I'm like, oh, first person shooter with other people. Okay, got it done.
Right.
I mean, I know what I'm doing. And like to be dropped into that world and play it, I'm like, oh, I want to play that.
Yeah.
Whereas with Fortnite, I'm like, oh, that's cool, but I don't think I'll play it unless like Andrew gets into it or somebody else and like drags me in a group. And I'm like, all right, cool. This is fun to fuck around with. But
so I feel like this conversation, I don't agree with the press release. I think that's a really sort of, maybe, I don't know, maybe it's a cultural thing. I don't think it reads well over here. I think it's a sort of a shitty way really to have that type of thing, right? I feel like maybe it's for the public because the real like battleground that's coming up is what's happening on consoles, right? Fortnite are going to beat PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds to consoles. They're also going to beat them on PlayStation 4 for God knows how long, right? Because they have this Microsoft thing with the Xbox One, right? So there are games, we talked about them before when we were talking about Cliffy and Lawbreakers and stuff. There are games like Warframe, man, who have done really well free to play on console. Like, I don't know if that dedicated player that exists on PC, if that's as much of a thing if it's as broad a thing on the console, but I can see a free to play version of PUBG probably competing more with it on console than on PC. So if this is them being like, they're going to have PS4 locked down, they're going to get to Xbox One before us, and hopefully we'll have more, but like the bigger market's on PlayStation. We need to like start the narrative of this being an us versus them right away because we need people to realize that our game is like a more featureful and, blah. So maybe that's that. Maybe it's them like,
I just feel like
defensively getting in there.
I mean, what I would have done is the same way you've done just about every other major mouthpiece thing is go to PlayerUnknown. You know what I mean? Like, why not have, and I understand this is a weird thing now where business and personality start to brush up against, but like, if I was mad at another podcast ripping off what we do, or, a cooking show, or like, and again, none of these are original ideas. Like y'all tweak them a little bit, but like whatever, I mean, the amount of best friends who write in are like, hey, me and my friend started a podcast and we're literally just ripping off the 4-topic thing. We say the same intro. I'm like, it's fine, whatever. Like
everything I do is based on someone else doing it before me.
Exactly. And so it's like, if it was the fact that IGN was doing, and if I had an original idea, the exact same thing we were doing, it made me like, maybe I'd tweet out to be like, hey, I see that IGN's launching a game, and that's just like what I do, and it's like, that's cool. It'd just be nice to get I feel like that would read better in 2017 for the narrative of this game, of PlayerUnknown. It was a mod, he did this thing, he made it into, and now it's this huge juggernaut. I think that would have read better than this weird cold press release out of the blue that's like, hey, they were talking about us and we don't want them to talk about us. It's like, what?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
It's bad PR, which is what a press release is for good PR.
And that's the thing, is like, PlayerUnknown has been running away with this. It's been a non-stop goodwill train. Holy shit, this is amazing, blah, blah, blah. And this
the last thing they need.
This is such why it's an unforced error, as Colin would always say. Like, why are you making this move right now? Why is this the need? Why are you so concerned about Fortnite? That is a game that's not going to set the world on fire. And yeah, it'll beat them to places, but like, it's also the thing that, with all due respect, the internet's going to tell you that story as well. And maybe that's the thing. Maybe they saw like, oh, Epic's going to fuck this up. And then like, oh, refunds. And oh, we're saying this. And like, they seem to be saying all the right things and getting goodwill behind what is, to all intents and purposes, a copy.
Right.
And so I guess maybe they felt like they needed to step up and be like, hey, we're not cool with this, but I think there's better ways to say I'm not cool with it than this weird thing. And then they did the same thing of like, where PlayStation's like, oh, well, we don't believe in crossplay. We want to protect the children. Where it's like, this is like, well, we're only saying something now because of like, what is it, community outrage or whatever. Growing feedback from our community and reviewing the gameplay for ourselves, we are concerned. Yeah, it's like, what are we talking about, guys? Like, you know what I mean?
It's silly. Like, Brendan Green is currently at TGS, I believe, just looking at his Twitter feed. Yeah. Like, I don't know how involved in this whole thing he was, but yeah, like, the one thing they need, like, the biggest problem, from a PR perspective, the biggest problem that PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds has right now is that every single headline about it is about how much money it's making, which is the complete antithesis of what you want to be, which is an indie breakthrough hit. Like, people still think about Rocket League and Psyonix as this indie breakthrough hit. I feel like in the 6 months PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds has been around, it's turned into they're like super successful and broadening their shoulders. This is for them to put themselves in a situation where they look like Tencent's the underdog, totally, is a massive unforced error, super on goal. Outside of this whole thing, like, I think we're probably on the same page in relation to that. Outside of this whole thing, I'm like disappointed because the one thing I really like about PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, and I know it is iterative on this idea, but it is one of the most exciting ideas to happen to like military style first person shooters, online shooters, in like a long time. Yeah. And what I hate is big companies will just copy the shit out of this for years, and big companies like Activision and EA and a lot of them, and Ubisoft, like, there's been some iteration, but as somebody who grew up playing Ghost Recon, Delta Force, like America's Army, Rogue Spear, like Advanced Warfighter, all of these, there was a massive amount of awesome stuff happening in military first-person shooters, and it's been dead since COD 4. Like, there's been some iteration, but nothing like the 10 years before that. So, like, this game excites me because it reminds me of playing Hidden and Dangerous and, like, all of these games where I had to think tactically, and we haven't had that in so long. So, I think it's cool. Like, outside of this bubble, this like conversation about what's happening with these two companies, I think it's cool that they did something cool, and I sort of will fight for them against everyone else who copies them, because at least they made something that was new. And what by PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, I mean the sort of the long etymology of that going all the way back to ARMA and whatnot. So like, outside of the fact that they just did a really stupid thing today, I still feel like I'm in their corner, you know, in the way that
I mean, for the most, I think I am too, and it's just that thing. I just don't feel like Epic crossed the line. And I'm saying this not having played the mode, just going off trailers and write-ups and like the way they handled it. I just feel like this is an interesting battle to pick your fight on. Where it is like, yeah, like this isn't anything. Like, for even if the GTA version is different, it was marketed to a schlub like me who would read it. Right, like, it's PlayerUnknown's about it. Yeah. And like, yeah, like when Activision does get here with this mode, when Ubisoft Division patch whatever drops or Ghost Recon drops with it, they're not going to mention PlayerUnknown Battleground. Right. And with all due respect to those companies, it's not going to be successful. Right. Because they're going to shoehorn it into a game where it's going to be a side mode. In the same way when you have a great single player and they shoehorn multiplayer and you'd be like, well, this sucks. Right. It's going to be the same thing where like PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds will be a huge colossal hit on Xbox One, and when it comes out 2 years later on PlayStation 4, it will be a huge colossal hit on PlayStation 4. Because people understand that. Gamers understand that. You've gotten the PUBG is such a zenith right now. It's just like everyone knows that game, that name. They hear it on every podcast, whether they never even fucking played it or seen a screenshot. And so when something comes around and it's like it, they know it's not it. Like, you know that it's not that, and so when it finally gets there, people will be excited to try it.
So this is like kind of overly defensive in that manner, and
it's just, I don't know. I think you put it well. You said disappointed. That's what it is. It's just like I don't know how I would handle this, and I don't know what I would be if we were the hot shit and everybody was obviously scheming and copying us in some respect. Right. But the people who are like, hey, our game's not doing well, but we're gonna put it in here, or it's not doing gangbusters. You know what I mean?
It's not competing at that level. Or whatever.
Exactly. and they're showing you the reverence and saying all this stuff. Granted, yeah, maybe they should have reached out and been like, hey, we're gonna do this, but then again, it is business. I don't think there's like a legal leg to stand on in this in terms of getting in there. Like,
I feel like Epic or Fortnite in that situation where they were blessed with the fact that they are an underdog, because if this was Activision doing this, we'd have a whole different read on this situation.
And see, that's my thing is like,
so I think they were they're getting away with it a little bit. Like, I don't think that we should like give out to companies for taking ideas and trying to work with them and stuff, but there's certainly an element of the fact that this is Fortnite as opposed to this is Call of Duty. It reads differently, and it allows them to be a bit more.
I guess it's that slippery slope of like, I personally, if I'm there, wouldn't have been mad at them, but when inevitably big publisher X and big developer X make the clearly copy me and put me in a big game, annualized game, that's when I'd choose the hill to fight.
Yeah.
Of like, hey, if you are a Call of Duty player and you've never heard of, if you are a Battlefield player, I'm not singling out Activision. If you are a Game X player and you're getting this thing for the first time, remember, like, we did this, and they're kind of just ripping it off. I don't know.
The whole thing's about optics.
Yeah.
Like, this whole situation is about optics, which is why it's this massive, like, discussion on message boards and Twitter as well, because everyone's perspective is different based on what they feel about the games and where they're coming from. And I do feel like both parties in this have a leg to stand on, but I think I agree with you in that, like, if there is wrong to be felt in relation to like the whole situation, it's that they shouldn't have released this.
It's just, and it's the same thing of
below
like,
them. It's
even
silly.
after Fortnite, you know, their article of like, or their post of it's gonna be free. We're putting out sooner than later. Great. Right. Shuffle your papers. Other than them getting a, hey, that's out today. I wasn't going to talk about the show again. Unless randomly I started playing it, which I really doubt I'm going to end up doing.
Right.
Whereas now we're talking about it again. And it's back to Alana's thing of like, this is the worst thing you can do. You're drawing more eyes to
it's
this.
It's the fucking Streisand effect, right?
Exactly.
It's
you're
like,
getting in there and you're just you're wrestling with this thing that are giving it more and more attention. Just don't give it oxygen. You'll be fine.
Although also, like, give it oxygen because apparently Fortnite's all right. Like, I mean, core Fortnite I like, but I haven't played this new mode. But apparently it's worth checking
Apparently we all got to do it. We're all got to try it next week and see what it's all about. You know
Check
what I mean?
it out.
Interestingly enough, about this there PUBG, we've had a conversation ongoing on this show about should PUBG be in the running for Game of the Year.
Right.
You and I, Andrew talked about it. You talked about it. Andrew and I talked about it again yesterday when we were defining this whole thing in Game of the Year. And I said I was going to reach out to IGN for a statement.
Okay.
To know once and for all, would it fall in their parameters for Game of the Year? Steve Butts, editor-in-chief. I love doing this. Steve's like, you want a comment from me? I'm like, yeah, can I get it? He's like, yeah, all right,
awesome.
Cool.
Thanks, Steve.
Steve Butts, EIC of IGN.com, responds, games aren't ever really finished in the way they used to be. Sure, franchises like Madden and Call of Duty keep pumping out new editions, which makes it easy for us come awards times. But games like Hearthstone and League of Legends continue to improve well beyond the traditional window for Game of the Year consideration. When you add in early access, the situation gets more confusing. Games like Fortnite and PUBG are out in the market and being played by thousands and even millions of gamers already, despite not being technically complete. We're still debating what this means for Game of the Year, but there's absolutely no doubt that PUBG is one of the best games around right now. My feeling, and Steve's talking about his personal one here, my feeling is that we should create a special, separate award for early access games, but restrict their eligibility for overall Game of the Year until we get to a version 1.0 release. So interesting to know that exactly what I would think is happening there if people trying to decide is what's happening there. And I love the fact they're being so transparent about that too.
Here's a question.
Yeah.
Is Fortnite technically out? Because they say it's in early access, right?
Yeah.
But you can buy it in a store.
Yep.
So
this is the exact argument he's making, and that we've all made of like, what I personally think that if you can give money to a game and people are playing it, and not even that, you can give money to a game and you're playing it, then I think that game is eligible for a game you're playing this year. Because you can't sit there and be like, and this isn't a beta, you know what I mean? Like, and that was where it gets weird. Minecraft was in beta forever, and they were selling that motherfucker for like years. It's like, yeah, you can go to Fortnite and buy it. You can still go buy Paragon in the store. And what blew my mind the other day, and I don't know about Fortnite actually, but what blew my, and this is multiple episodes again, kindoffunny.com/you're wrong if I fuck this up, is that Paragon still doesn't have trophies.
Oh,
because
really?
it's like not a real game yet. And so like Andrea's put like 7 million hours into it, but has nothing. I'm like, what the fuck is going on with games? I mean, it's cool and it's weird and it's different. It's changed. It's like,
so that's complicated even more, right?
Yeah.
Fortnite, let's say it's not technically out, I guess. Who knows? If they release a free-to-play version of this mode, surely that's not... in early access. Like free-to-play games aren't in early access, right?
Right.
So maybe that's eligible for Game of the Year.
So Fortnite as a base game is not eligible for anything, but Fortnite's what do they call it? The whatever mode they call it. Battle Royale is what they call it.
PUBG isn't, Fortnite isn't, but this is. Is that what I think that's the situation
That'd
we're
be
in.
awesome if somebody got so into the weeds and did that, and somehow the Fortnite PUBG knockoff won some kind of award
It won like best battle royale game because the rest of them weren't eligible.
Sorry, can't do it. None of them are in the running for it. Man, it's so awesome and weird to be at this part of gaming.
Right.
Where it's like everything we've known for years in terms of genres and definitions is just gone, and you can't do it, and you just like, you can't hold on to it, but how do you progress? And then, you know, it's like the same thing of like, it always drove me crazy when I started in the industry, coming right out of journalism school, a year at the paper, but coming right out of newspapers, we'll say, right? Where I'd sit down with my AP style guide and my dictionary and go through and proofread stuff. But like at IGN, we used 4 different ways of okay. Every writer wrote okay differently. Right. And then the fact that there is no, you know, there's no scientific method for video games. So a 7.0 on IGN didn't mean the same thing on 1UP, didn't mean the same thing on GameSpot, didn't mean the same. And it's like the fact of like, some people write Sega in all caps. Other people write it with a capital S. And it was like, I was like, God, can we just get like, I remember like, what if we got a team together and it was like Dan Shue and Jeremy Dunham, and somebody just came up with, this is the style guide for writing about video games, right? Yeah. And then no one cares about writing anymore. It's just videos, and video games themselves don't make any more sense. Right. So who the fuck knows what's ever going to happen?
It's a good thing we don't have that style guide because it wouldn't apply anymore.
I know, right? Nobody would know anything. And then all these YouTube kids would be like, we're against the system. I'm going to spell Sega however I fucking want.
Hashtag Adam on Twitter.
I use a money sign. We have a bunch of short ones here.
All right.
But there's a question, of course. Number 2, Red Dead is coming. Info is coming on the new Red Dead. It's coming Thursday, the 28th. That's next Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern time on RockstarGames.com.
Drop into a map. 100 horses.
You come out of a zeppelin, parachute onto your horse. A fog of Native Americans will from around. Wait a second, this is the exact same thing. The assassin AK-47 writes in and says, "What's up, guys? We all know Rockstar is dropping a new Red Dead 2 trailer. We don't know if it's exactly that, but you assume it is.
Right.
So what do you guys want to see in the next installment? I personally want to know right off the bat if we'll be playing as one character or not, and I also want to see Ed Harris as the main villain. Lastly, do you think the trailer will be a story trailer, or will we see some gameplay? What are we getting on Thursday, Daniel?
They've already put out trailers showing off the engine and the world and stuff, which is kind of the way they've done this for the past while.
Yeah.
I would hope that this would be a story trailer.
Yeah.
I hope they set up the setting, which looks like it's probably like sort of the end of the frontier, kind of going into the mechanization of the West and whatnot.
Is it? Because I mean, it looks like a prequel to Red Dead.
Oh, really?
That's how the theory that I have subscribed to since they released the key art, right? Is that what you're right is correct. Where Red Dead Redemption ends with it being very butted up against like, hey, technology's coming.
Right? Yeah, the trains are coming.
That key art they showed of like the whatever, I'm gonna fuck this up, the 6 or the 7 guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
People went through and like, oh, that's Dutch's gang.
Right.
And they were like, this is that guy from Red Dead. This is John in the center. This is that.
Yeah.
And like, you look at it and you're like, fuck yeah, those all look like those guys. They're silhouettes.
Right.
Maybe we're in their shadow. Maybe it's, John's son. Maybe it's this, that, and the other. But I think it's going to be a prequel, personally.
I hope it's not.
I hope it's not.
I really hope it's not.
Keep going forward. I don't want to go back and be John again and know where that story's going.
Sounds like John Marston maybe a bit of an asshole in the past. I don't know. Also, like Rockstar named the last game where they did a sequel with the same protagonist. I mean, GTA 5, they literally kill Johnny from Lost and Damned in the first scene, or with Trevor. Like they don't like having. They don't release GTAs with new people. I would hope that they would keep that same thing with Red Dead.
Yeah.
I'd love something fresh. I'd love like that bigger map. I'd love for it to be in a different time, place. I'd love for them to like mix up like the type of stories they've told. I love the fact that a lot of these stories are about like dudes struggling in the world that they're in, but like mix it up maybe a little bit. Like GTA 5 did a really good thing
by struggling in the world she's in.
Not to be like so reductive about it, but at least something that's a little bit, because they're not just typecast by the fact that it's always a dude, right? It's typecast by the type of story that's in there. Even Bully, like all these games are always like, and maybe that's just the nature of video games.
I want to get out of the life of being a bad guy,
right?
Yeah.
Like I feel like Red Dead did a decent work of that. I feel like in GTA 5 they solved a lot of those problems as well by having the multiple protagonists and telling different angles on that at least. So maybe something a bit more interesting. announced.
My hope for this trailer on Thursday is that, yeah, it's a long trailer. It's got an awesome song, because they usually cut their trailers with such great songs.
Right.
And yeah, it sets up who we are in this game, what the world is, and then there'll be bits of gameplay in there.
Yeah.
And I really think we'll get that. I don't think it'll answer if there's multiple protagonists. I hope there isn't.
Right.
Like, I don't
Really?
GTA 5 was fine that way, and I enjoyed it, but
I
it
guess
was like
works in that.
not. The thing that always worked really well with GTAs of the past, I felt, and even Nico to an extent, right, was like spending all that time as that character made me that character.
Right.
Whereas jumping in on Trevor and Michael and
I should remember this. My wife is literally playing it right now.
Trevor, Michael,
Franklin.
Franklin.
There
Fuck.
you go.
I was trying. I mean, whatever. Franklin. It was like cool. But it was very much like I'm hearing their story.
Right.
Like I'm making decisions for them, but I'm not really like I think about how, you know, to be Claude or whatever in GTA 3 and go do whatever. It was like that he is me. And then even with like CJ in San Andreas, where it was like, okay, cool, Tommy Vercetti, like it's his story, but like I felt more of a connection to that character because it was me and him the entire time.
As opposed to like when you're swapping characters, you feel like even the nature of like you swap back to Trevor and he's in
the middle of something else.
Right.
The story's progressed.
Yeah.
It's like that's cool. It was different, but like I don't need this game to be a heist game. I want to be a fucking cowboy and I want to run around and do all this stuff.
I just hope I'm looking forward to seeing what the world is like. I love Rockstar games. For me, they haven't put a foot wrong. Like Max Payne 3 is my favorite Max Payne game, and I love the old Max Payne games.
Yeah.
But like I think that they are exceptional at making games. I like when they innovate, which is why I really like GTA 5. And a lot of people said they thought it wasn't innovative enough. I thought in terms of gameplay and in terms of the style and the storytelling, I thought it was. So I'd love to see them do that again, to really like evolve it, because we don't get Rockstar games as often as we used to. We don't get games as often as we used to.
Yeah.
Like sequels.
Yeah.
So this is our
I'm excited to see what they do, man. I'm a big fan.
Yeah.
Number 3 on the Roper Report, South Park, The Fractured Butthole is gold.
Believe it when I see it.
I know. I can't get over this. Like, for real. This is like they moved the date. I'm like, that won't happen. But here we are. October 17th is coming up pretty quick.
Right.
I put 7th, but I'm pretty sure it's 17th. Will you fact check me on that one real
sure.
quick? Yeah, I believe it's October 17th, and it's coming up real quick. If it's October 7th, that's way too quick. It's got to be October 17th. I fucked that date.
Yeah, 17th.
Gotcha. Trailer's funny, of course. It's making fun of Kanye. And I can't wait for that game. But it's just like, man, I really thought they were going to delay this. But here we go.
All right.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
It's coming out in 2017.
Number 4, Reggie from Nintendo told Mashable that Nintendo sold through 2.8 million Switches, which is quite a nice number for them, especially with the problems they were having. Now he's trying to make the whole thing of like, oh no, supply's better. It's like, well, it's getting there, but it ain't fixed yet, Reggie.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
The people who've been waiting 5 months are now able to get them.
Yeah.
The people who are waiting want to get one today, maybe aren't. So.
Number 5, Bethesda wants to make more Switch games. This is according to VentureBeat. They talked to Pete Hines, friend of the show, over at that Bethesda event that Andrea was at. Pete said to one of their questions, honestly, it's been a long series of them. And he's talking about conversations with Nintendo to make these games happen. Honestly, it's been a long series of them. They came out to us to see us before they unveiled the Switch to show us what the hardware was like, what they were doing with it. We've been in constant conversation with them, and not just about the 2 games we have now. Of course, this is Doom and Wolfenstein 2, but about our whole approach to the platform going forward. What we can do, best practices, what things are a good fit, and they're excited about in what we're doing. We're obviously excited about these 2 games, but it's not as if we're going to just do these 2 games and that's it. We want this to be the start of a relationship, and we want to build with Nintendo and Nintendo fans.
Yeah, the real question is whether or not this is something that they're looking ahead or back for. Like, are they looking at converting more of their back catalog over? I mean, I feel like there aren't that many good fits, but then I wasn't really sure if Doom was a good fit either.
Sure.
And it's coming
You figure
out.
Fallout would be?
Right.
I mean, I figure the thing I always ached for on the Vita and never got was a Western RPG like that.
Right.
Where I could just go and explore and boot it back up and go. And it's that thing where I know it's not stick with me. Minecraft kind of was like, oh, this world I'm returning to. And I can spend 5 minutes or 5 hours in it and do all these different things. I always wanted, hey, here's a full-fledged Western RPG. Let's make choices. Let's go. Let's build something here. Story-wise, I don't want to fucking build this shack because I hated that shit in Fallout 4. But like that'd be something fun to see. But like I also don't want to go back and play Fallout 3 again or Fallout New Vegas. I probably would actually.
Right.
Fallout New Vegas, I didn't give a fair shake.
They
to.
might have trouble getting that Gamebryo stuff over as well. You never know.
Yeah, of course.
Although,
there's a million problems.
Skyrim stuff, I guess, was able to. But like perhaps what they're doing now is testing ground for future games as well. Like whatever Todd Howard's next project is.
You'd hope that now that you get your sea legs here with Wolfenstein, Doom, Skyrim, and then whatever the next year's slate of Bethesda games, you can get day and date releases.
No, be a good fit.
Possible. What's that?
Fallout Shelter.
Yeah,
that'll work.
Yeah, of course.
No touch stuff, but
Sure.
sure.
Go ahead. Just give him mobile games.
Yeah.
Just give him that, Danny.
Yeah, just get him over.
You're a
Flappy
monster.
Bird doesn't
You're a
work on
monster.
iOS 11 anymore. Get it over.
Did you used to watch the trailer for
Flappy Bird?
No, for South Park?
No, with Kanye.
Yeah, that's the shtick of like, you know how Kanye announced that game or whatever.
Oh yeah.
They make fun of that, and it's his mom.
Wasn't that game about his
mom on the gay fish from South Park who's making fun of Kanye. His mom fish on a unicorn, and it's like all this. It's this beautiful South Park art of what they go, and then the gameplay is Flappy Bird of this farting unicorn trying to go around doing all this different stuff.
Oh no.
This game's gonna be crazy.
Oh no.
Number 6 on the Roper Report: Final Fantasy Brave Exvius. Is that how you pronounce that, Danny?
Sure.
Exvius?
This is the mobile
Correct.
thing they've had for
This
a
has
while.
been down since yesterday afternoon. This is via GAF. I don't have an update, but this morning it was still down. Over on GAF, Zio VGM reports. Yesterday afternoon, the above is apparently what happened to Gummy's website. On Gummy's website, there were two messages from a hacker. So it looked like hackers got in, took down the website, put up, demanded Bitcoin and all this stuff, or they were going to release source code. Shortly after that, all players seemed to receive a random gift of 5,000 lapis, which is, I believe, it comes out to $40 or $50. He reports. Some people knew about the hack, some didn't. Some thought it was just a gift and spent it on a character pull, or maybe they were going to hold on to it. But shortly after the money went out to everyone, the game went down for maintenance. It has now been down since late yesterday afternoon. Gummy originally put out a Facebook post about 15 hours ago saying that simply, quote, it was an issue with the game. About 10 minutes ago, they released their first statement since. This is from their Facebook, the developer's Facebook page. Attention, Final Fantasy Brave Exvius fans. On September 21st, Thursday, around 3 p.m., we experienced a system disruption. We have determined, upon investigation, that this disruption was caused by someone who gained unauthorized access into our system for the FFBE game and made a threat to our hosting company. We are currently conducting maintenance to ensure the integrity of the game system, including all game data and players' personal information. We would like to assure all players that this matter is of utmost importance to us. We sincerely ask that you bear with us in the meantime while our teams are hard at work trying to resolve this matter and resume the game services as soon as practicable. Practicable. All right, sure. We will be providing updates on the situation via our official channels in a timely manner. Thank you very much for your patience and continued support through this trying time.
That sucks.
That's why we can't have nice things.
Right.
Everybody's always trying to hack something, get in there, hack sours. Right?
Yeah, it's a shame.
Not much to it, just like, man, that sucks.
Yeah. Hopefully they don't lose a lot of money off that whole hack part. Like they can maybe get that back. I know it's not cool for players to get that and then have it pulled away, but
I think they're gonna leave the money out for the kids. Like, what are you gonna do?
You think?
Yeah, I think
$50 for every person. It's like a free to play game.
Well, yeah, but I mean, this actually works in their benefit, right? Where you give them a taste of it, and then I don't know the game, so whatever you're buying with that $50, you're like, oh, that's pretty good.
There's a taste. And there's
I'll
a 3-course meal.
Yeah, exactly. They'll pay for dessert. All right. Yeah, it sucks.
Pay for your drinks.
It's always heartbreaking with stuff like it's like the same thing when people would do the DDoS attacks or whatever on Christmas Day, so the kids couldn't connect their PlayStations.
It sucks. It's like, why are you doing it? Just doing it to do it.
Yeah, exactly. Final item, I do believe, right?
Bitcoins.
7, I said. Yeah, on the Roper Report is your Destiny 2 rock block. Both are from GameSpot.com. First off, there's going to be some downtime next week. Starting at 6 a.m. Pacific time on September 25th, players won't be able to sign in. At 7 a.m. that day, everyone who's logged into Destiny 2 will be kicked off. The maintenance period is scheduled to run from 12 p.m. PT, so all told, there will be interruptions for around 6 hours. That's if everything goes to plan. There's always a chance the maintenance period could wrap up sooner, or, as was the case last time, take longer. Ooh. Then, yesterday, faction rallies kind of got leaked out a little bit. You see this stuff?
No.
Where faction rallies have been on the Destiny 2 plan. No, they put out that thing of like, hey, here's what's coming.
Oh, yeah.
They said faction rallies, nobody really had the information on it, but then people were like, oh, well, now you're starting to see faction logos on the guns and stuff that you can do stuff with. GameSpot summarizes Bungie's thing there. Faction rallies are a special event that kicks off with the weekly reset on Tuesday, September 26th at 2 a.m. Pacific time and runs until the same time on October 3rd. All 3 factions return from the original Destiny, Dead Orbit, Future War Cult, and New Monarchy to task players with gathering supplies for their faction and destroying enemy resources. This is done by simply playing the game. You'll choose one of the 3 factions to align yourself with and then earn faction tokens by completing public events, lost sectors, strikes, or the raid, or by playing Crucible. Faction tokens can be turned in for reward packages, which include a variety of faction-specific items, including weapons, armors, and shaders. You can see them in the GameSpot gallery. They look pretty good. They're on the Bungie thing, too. If you have the Bungie app, it's the top story, too. I was reading this morning. Epic shaders. Just cool-looking armor, too, which I like. There looks to be quite a lot of gear for both faction. Here's where it gets interesting, Big Danny O'Dwyer. Additionally, each faction has a powerful weapon that is specific to it. Dead Orbit has a scout rifle, FWC has a pulse rifle, and New Monarchy has a side arm. At the end of the event, the faction that collected the most packages is named the winner, and its weapon will be sold to all players for 50,000 Glimmer.
Is that a lot?
Yeah. But I mean, Glimmer is like, it's a lot, but you max out at 1 million Glimmer, and I maxed out at 1 million Glimmer.
Okay,
so it's not, you get it. Members of the winning faction will be able to purchase it for only 1,000 Glimmer. Ooh. The winner will be named at 10 a.m. Pacific time on October 3rd.
That's good.
It's a cool little thing, but I really feel
ketchup or mustard, baby.
At first, I was like, oh, I'm gonna be Dead Orbit. I think their armor looks cool. It's just like monochrome and white and shit. I was like, all right, cool. And then it was like, well, fuck, what weapon do I really want? Because I feel like and then as a Destiny community, we're gonna have to be like, which is the cool weapon? Everybody join on there and we'll do that and get it.
Are all 3 weapons going to be available to buy? Or
no,
just
they're only
one?
at the end of the event. The faction that collected the most packages is named the winner, and its weapon will be sold. Only the one weapon. So you're either getting the scout rifle, the pulse rifle, or the sidearm.
That's interesting. Yeah. I wonder if then people will like not join up to factions until they see which one is
where's
going,
where you going.
Maybe they don't visualize that. I mean, they have to visualize it at some point.
I would think they would. Yeah, that there'd be a leaderboard in some way, but who knows? I think it's cool, interesting, whatever. There's also a million good games. Zer's out there right now. I'm gonna get him at lunch.
Oh yeah, he's been out there for a while.
Every week, man. Yeah. He's out there hustling.
Beat the raid last week. He's hustling.
Danny.
Yes, sir.
Holy shit, it's 45 minutes into this episode.
I know, right?
If I wanted to know what was coming to the mom and grop shops, where would I go?
The official list of upcoming software is listed by the Kind of Funny Games Day show hosts on each and every platform is listed by the Kind of Funny show hosts each and every day. Sorry, Mom. Weekday.
Out today, Bloody Zombies on Xbox One.
Bloody zombies.
Bloody zombies.
Bloody zombies. Get off my lawn.
Caveman Warriors on PlayStation 4.
Caveman Warriors.
Xbox One PC. Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 on Switch. Pokken Tournament DX on Switch. Project Cars 2 on PS4, X1, and PC. Raiders of the Broken Planet, PS4, Xbox One,
My
PC.
favorite Indiana Jones movie.
Yeah, Raiders of the Broken Planet. Revolve on Xbox One. Sium, Speedrunners from Hell on Xbox One.
Exactly how I said that in my head as well.
I was like, whatever. SteamWorld Dig 2 on PC. Right. The Coma Recut on Xbox One. Lego Ninjago Movie, the video game, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, PC, and Switch.
Jesus.
And then Pokemon Gold and Silver on 3DS Virtual Console, which I think I read yesterday, but apparently it's today.
All right.
Then new dates for you. The new but old Xbox Duke controller.
How did this happen?
Has been approved by Xbox. It's still on track for later this year, apparently.
How?
Why not?
This is so dumb.
If you whatever, if
I'm totally gonna get it.
Yeah, well, I'm not, but I mean, like, if you have like fond memories of the original horrible Xbox controller, here it is, and it works currently.
That's so silly. I love it.
It's kind of a goofy idea. I like it.
I love it. It's so dumb though.
Then No More Heroes has been announced for PC. No, that's not right.
No Heroes Here.
No Heroes Here has been announced for PC on October 3rd, 2017. That's one of those titles that works for you and against you.
100%.
Where somebody's like, oh, new No More Heroes. Oh, this isn't
No More Heroes here.
Yeah, what? Yeah, no, what? The fuck are you talking about? Deals of the day. 2 of you wrote in. Thank you very much for deals of the day. Top 5 bananas went to kindoffunny.com/KFGD and says, PSA. There's a flash sale starting today on PSN. My suggestion, pick up Child of Light. Beautiful UB art game, 75% off.
Super game.
That's a good deal.
Absolutely love
Check out that. Yeah. And then Crazy Zombie wrote in to kindoffunny.com/KFGD and says, not a question, but this should be the deal of the day. Outlast and Whistleblower DLC is free on Humble Bundle right now. Steam and free Humble Bundle account are needed. Just thought I'd share with everybody. Thank you very much. Good job.
Yeah.
Danny.
Yes, sir.
I want to check in with the readers.
Okay.
But before I do that, I want to first tell you it's brought to you by DraftKings. Football season has begun, but it's not too late to get closer to the game you love with DraftKings 1 Week Fantasy Football. This Sunday, DraftKings is hosting a $100,000 Pick'em contest that is totally free to enter. Pick'em is the newest way to play 1 week fantasy football. Drafting your team is faster than ever. DraftKings has organized players into 8 tiers. All you have to do is select one player from each tier. Choose between public contests with big cash prizes or private contests where you can compete against a group of your friends. DraftKings also has beginner and casual contests where you'll play against people of a similar skill level. The best part is you get to draft a new team each and every week without any commitment. Get to DraftKings.com now and use the promo code KINDOFFUNNY, that's all one word, to play in DraftKings free contest with $100,000 $100,000 in total prizes this Sunday. That's promo code Kinda Funny to compete for your share of $100,000 in total prizes. The contest is totally free to enter. Why wouldn't you try a shoe? And then Nick from New Hampshire writes in to interrupt the ad and says, Greg, let's workshop this. What do you have to lose by playing DraftKings? A shoe? What could be better than $100,000? A shoe? What else are you competing for this week? A shoe? DraftKings, the game inside the game. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details. Thank you, Nick from New Hampshire.
Do you ever really lose a shoe? I feel like if you lose a shoe, you've effectively lost 2 shoes.
It's always mind-boggling when you see one shoe on like the highway.
Yeah.
And I get it. When little kid shoes, I can see kids being dumb, feet hanging out the window, clip a truck, foot and shoe gone. Kid bleeds to death in the back of the car. I get it.
Whoa.
But an adult shoe, I never
Makes no
understood.
goddamn
Doesn't
sense.
make any sense.
Yeah. I don't like my right shoe, but I like the right shoe on this pair. Fuck you guys. Bring them together.
Now, Danny.
Yes.
I was worried about this show being too short because so many questions were about the PUBG Fortnite thing and then the Marvel Infinite thing, right? And so for reader mail, there were only 2 questions listed.
Okay.
However, one of them being gigantic.
Yes.
So we're going to just do the one gigantic one.
And I think I know what it's about.
Do you?
It's about 6-axis, right?
It is.
It's
Coming from a reader, funny little name you wrote into, kindafunny.com/KFGD, says, Greg, what's up with the 6axis.com and 2K18 business? The review goes up, then gets pulled pending a statement from 2K, and then the review score gets reinstated. In your years of reviewing and being in the industry, have you ever seen a review be pulled or changed because of pressure or because you were waiting for clarification from a developer on why a game runs the way it does? Are you familiar with this?
Yes. So for those who don't know, the 6-axis, which is a PlayStation focus.
And it's 6 with a TH, right?
I always called it the 6-axis, but I think it is the 6th axis.
Okay, good. Because he put it in the question and I was like, did I screw it up?
It's like TSA is what the logo is.
Okay.
It's not the transport service, whatever, I don't know. Kindafunny.com/.
Just keep going, fucking don't worry about it.
Yeah, so they put up a review for NBA 2K18, which has had very interesting reviews this week and that it scored very, very high. But pretty much across the board, all of the reviews have been super critical of the microtransaction sort of that are in this game. They're quite heavy, right?
Yeah.
So,
and with all due respect to interject here, because we talked about microtransactions yesterday.
Right.
And it was one of those, why does everybody hate microtransactions? And Andrea and I took it from a very top level because some people are worried about them being abused. People are worried about this thing. I went in and watched Young Ye, right, his YouTube video about the guy new from Metal Gear. I'm fucking up his name. I follow him on Twitter. Doesn't matter. Watch his breakdown of this, which was excellent. And you're like, oh no, this 2K thing is exactly what everybody's worried about and how this is fucking awful. And the fact that it's like, to get your player to an 89 overall and not pay, you would have to grind out like 300 games or just go. And it's like they won't let you preview your hairstyle and you put it on, and it's similar to the Destiny shaders where you're buying stuff that should be all the time, but it's one-time use. And it's like, what the fuck?
The new shaders. Yeah.
So like this is a great example of like they're fucking off. They're insane right now.
Yeah, and it's been pretty much like across the board. People have mentioned it, and there has been a little bit of sort of sensitivity from the gaming community, rightfully or wrongly, I'm not sure, probably rightfully, that the game has reviewed well in spite of the fact that it seems fairly pervasive on the gameplay, which is always the problem. So the 6axis puts up a review, gives it 3 out of 10. The review is kind of in line with what everyone else is saying.
Hey, mechanically, this game is sound.
Right.
The microtransactions are bullshit.
Yeah.
3 out of 10.
Super pervasive. The word protest is put in there somewhere, which sort of implies that maybe they're doing a protest score, which, that doesn't seem perhaps the most wonderful thing to do, but, we'll see what happens, okay? So the thing goes up. The score goes up. I only know this because OpenCritic had it logged, but it actually gets pulled off and they basically say, like, effectively review in progress, right?
Right.
And it appears to be because 2K have reached out to them. Now, that was yesterday. What happened then, we sort of didn't know yet, right?
Exactly.
So it sat there for a day without a score.
And so what happened is from the 6th Access, Stefan L. put up a giant post explaining everything. I would like to read it in full because I think it's pretty interesting. Yeah. Yesterday afternoon, we find ourselves embroiled in a minor controversy surrounding one of our reviews. As I decided to adjust our NBA 2K18 review after it had been posted and temporarily remove the score, pending a statement from 2K about our complaints. In our review, and I need your help here.
Yeah.
Would you say Aaron here? It's A-R-A-N.
Aaron, yeah.
Aaron?
Yeah.
Okay.
Aaron, yeah.
Aaron.
Not like Aaron, like the name A-A-R-O-N, but it's like Aaron, like...
You see, when you say it with your accent, it just sounds like Aaron.
Sounds like
now.
Aaron, yeah.
Aaron.
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 Yeah.
All right. Aaron raised the issue of the rate at which you earn the game's virtual currency from play, how pervasive VC, this is virtual currency, is through the game, and how this pushes you towards the microtransactions in a manner that seriously impacts the game. Sadly, 2K have not been able to issue a statement in a timely fashion, so we've now returned the 3 out of 10 score to the bottom of our review, 24 hours after the review was originally posted. So in retrospect, did I make a mistake altering our publisher review? Possibly. Were there good reasons to change the review? Definitely. Most importantly, was this from undue publisher pressure? No. The conclusion that was originally posted read, quote, "If you're a series fan, you may enjoy what you see, and the score below doesn't indicate the quality of the core basketball game, but rather protests how utterly invasive the microtransactions have now become." End quote. To categorize our review and its score as a protest vote against 2K was wrong on a number of levels, and it was something I believed I had removed when editing. Evidently, I didn't, or didn't realize that my edits had not been submitted properly while traveling. Either way, it was largely for this reason that 2K's PR team got in touch with us after the review was published. We give plenty of leeway to our reviewers, so if they reason their position well enough and it matches the score, then it will stand as is. In this case, Aaron argued well enough for my liking that the balance between microtransaction and what you earn in game was dragging down the potential enjoyment for players. Whether entries have received a 6 out of 10 or a 9 out of 10 in the past, it's been a consistent point that he's addressed in NBA 2K reviews for the last half decade. And it's exactly this point that I relayed to 2K when they contacted me. Yes, they asked us to reconsider our score or shift to a review in progress, but I can't state strongly enough that there was no pressure or threat of blacklisting made or even implied. If this were the case, the demand would have been for the review to be removed entirely, which we would not have done. However, the word protest was still misplaced and needed to be removed, and it was while doing this that the olive branch of a statement surrounding plan changes and adjustments to NBA 2K18 was made. So, I made the call to change the score depending at the same time, get on my flight, and hope for something remarkable when I landed. While 2K are listening and reacting, insertion here, they lowered the pricing of in-game haircuts on Tuesday, for example. They still can't offer us specific information on or off the record about changes that are incoming. Hopefully, they will be revealed soon because, as Aaron wrote, and as many people across Reddit, Twitter, and NeoGAF agree, the demands of virtual currency and the push towards microtransactions in NBA 2K18 are currently too much. In light of this, and as was the most likely outcome, the 3 out of 10 score has been restored to our review, and the wording remains intact aside from the changes to the conclusion. We'll look to return to NBA 2K18 down the line and see how Visual Concept and 2K rebalance the currency and progression systems, and we expect and hope to see significant improvements in this area. Needless to say, they're now very aware that players aren't happy, which is perhaps the best thing to come from all of this. This hasn't been the most pleasant episode for anyone involved. It's nice to be at the top. It's nice to be the top story on Reddit and NeoGAF, but not for this and not with the maelstrom of speculation that has come with it.
Yeah.
With hindsight, a number of things have been done differently, and for that I sincerely apologize. We'll learn from these mistakes and do better in the future.
All right.
Literally, I think the nightmare of every video game reviewer.
Right. But completely self-inflicted.
100%.
Like, this is... The editor, the reviewer in this case has done nothing wrong.
Yeah.
The reviewer posted the review, has been asked...
We submitted the review, right? This is my argument, this is my review.
And was not involved in it being pulled or anything else. The buck stops with the editor.
Yeah.
The editor is responsible for every word that goes through their desk. If you're giving a game a 3 out of 10...
You gotta be ready.
You gotta be on top of that shit.
Doesn't
matter if you're traveling. It doesn't matter if you're trying to hit the embargo.
Going super low or going like to a super high 10.
Right.
That's the time when you've got to be like, this is on lock. We know what we're doing.
Yeah.
We know what we're saying. We're getting in there.
Every review deserves to be checked over and deserves treatment. But yes, totally, in the world of video games that exist today, special treatment must be allotted for things that you know are going to kick up a fuss. It's often not like completely out of the realm of normal as well, that if the specific problems have to do with an element of the game which may or may not change, that you reach out to the publisher to also clarify that.
Yeah.
Or issues in games, bugs for instance, which happen with previous versions of games. Sometimes it's a case where you're like, all right, well this would be here if it wasn't for this. Let's just ask and see, and then whatever, right? That obviously wasn't done. It was obviously posted without, like, it's hard for me to believe that an editor left that word in without knowing, with a 3 out of 10 score. Like, either it's just like lackadaisical work, or they got caught out and now he's trying to apologize for it. I don't know. I think just across the board, bad. I guess what we should talk about then is how this was dealt with after the fact.
Sure. My for one thing, in terms of like, the word shouldn't or shouldn't be there, like, the one thing I've learned in 10 years of doing this is that shit happens.
Right, yeah.
And I forget what it was here, kind of funny recently, where there was it was a Let's Play that Andy wanted a crack at. It was like right after we got Andy, so we had a Let's Play that was funny, but he thought he could make funnier. We're like, great. I deleted it from YouTube. I was like, you edit it. The next morning, the deleted video went live on YouTube.
Oh, right.
And I was like,
Yeah.
what the fuck? And I think back to IGN when we put up reviews, and it was a copy editor had copy and pasted something and put it in, and it was like,
right,
it was supposed to be a review across all these different platforms back in the day, and then they went, like, shit happens. So like, I'm with you in terms of like, man, but I've been there where I've like,
right.
I mean, I think of like, you know, and this is all just like, because I feel like in the same way, like, don't get me wrong, the Sixth Access has been around forever. Like, I've seen them kick around forever, especially when we were covering PlayStation. But I'm not knowing much about the site at all, I feel more in kin with Kind of Funny than I do with IGN and them, right? And like the time of like, hey, I have the world exclusives of Metal Gear Solid Let's Plays for Metal Gear 5, right? And like, I have to worry about 8 videos.
Yeah.
That's it. And we got to the embargo date. I was so proud. I posted them, and somehow episode 2 posted before episode 1, and it's just like me crying at home of like, how can I fuck up something so simple and so big, and you know, but like shit happens. And I feel like when you're a small site, when you're a small publication, it's more likely.
Right. I think what's happened since is like it's just messy, and the optics of this sort of stuff, especially when it involves a publisher, you know, everyone's super sensitive. Then immediately it starts getting compared to other instances where 100%. Publishers have asked for stuff to be changed and all that sort of stuff. So I think that was probably a really long 24 hours for them.
Yeah.
A long flight, I imagine, as well, trying to wait on the other side. And I kind of like this statement. I feel like maybe there should be a little bit more falling on swords, sorry, than...
Yeah, I mean, that was
there's a lot of like caveats to this, and it's like, sure, I guess.
It's one of those things like, in retrospect, I don't mean to Monday morning quarterback this at all for just fun, by the way. I totally feel for you. I feel for everybody involved in this. But like, in retrospect, did I make a mistake in altering our published review? Possibly. No, you did. That was a problem. And like, that's the thing of like, this harkens back to a conversation in this episode of this show of just like, man, things are different now. And that's the thing, is it used to be, I got the PlayStation 2 disc, I popped it in, I reviewed it, we were done. But now, this is the whole thing everyone has struggled with, whether it be IGN with review in progress, whether it be Polygon when they were going to go back and change scores of like, the game that ships and gets purchased is not the same game in 6 weeks, 6 months, 6 years. Things change so drastically. How do you handle that? Here, I would have been like, if we're waiting on the statement from them, if we're going to give this out to them, like, all right, cool, we can't score this, and put it up and be like, hey, we can't score it, and this is why we're waiting on a statement. Asking for clarification is never bad from a publisher, right? It's just not letting them come back with the PR spin and fucking around with it. For me, it would have been like, we published it, and it's up, and now I'm riding the lightning here of like, this is what it is, and we should have done that, and there'll be follow-up articles and maybe editor's notes and things like that. But like, it's also a shitty situation, again, where we're trying to apply the old school mentality of how all this works to a business that isn't that anymore. And that's what's so tough about all of this.
At least, like, fair play, they stuck to their guns, and the review is up, and, you know, it's got the same score. The 2 points that I have sort of that are a little bit strange to me is, one, like, what were we talking about? What was the swing? 3 to 4? Was it 3 to 6? Because then that's, like, now I'm starting to, like, feel like your review might not be... as I shouldn't be taking it as seriously as...
Well, I mean, it's just,
like,
it's an interesting take, right? Of this is where it gets interesting with video game reviews, right? Of the fact that Aaron here apparently has been reviewing these games for a decade. Like, he knows it. He's speaking to the fan, and so I think it's a review that speaks to, hey, you followed me for years, and you know, blah blah blah, and like the microtransactions ruin the game. But what is it without that? What if the microtransactions weren't there? But I guess that's not fair because they are there, and they are broken, and they do fuck up everything. And everybody's saying that, so you have to imagine 2K is going to listen and correct this, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, have to. This is NBA 2K, which is like the runaway best-selling sports game every year, top of the charts the entire year. Like, you can't let this fester this way. Right. Especially for me to go look at Young's video and be like, no, this is awful. This is exactly what Jim Sterling's always worried about. This is the problem. This is the, hey, we're going to not let you level up the right way. The app won't work the right way, and we want you to pay for the coin. It's like, what the fuck?
It's like, I do empathize with sites in that like review scores have always been weird and problematic and strange. Like this is like the perfect example of this game is really good except for this.
How does that balance?
Right, and like the idea that review scores do impact the bottom line of game companies is always this weird sticky situation where it's like, okay, we're dragging in the Metacritic, people don't get their bonuses, but also this is like impacting gamers, so we're gonna drag it down. I don't like the whole like almost politicking of the score elements. To me just feels kind of inherently wrong, but also in 2017 it's kind of impossible to get away from that. Like that is the world we live in, especially when it comes to microtransactions. So yeah, as much as I would criticize them for doing it, they're also kind of in a weirdly impossible position.
Yeah.
At least I'm glad that it's been clarified.
It's a great
somewhat.
statement, and I hope people like listen to it, because that would be it. Like back to a reader who was like, "Have you ever seen like something in your life like this?" I mean, I've definitely had people call, be like, "Oh man, we didn't think the review was fair, the score was fair."
Yeah.
But it's never like, we're not going to send you the game. Now, granted, I'm IGN, and now I'm kind of funny, and we don't review shit here other than talk about it.
Yeah.
So it's like not the same thing. Apples and oranges do a little bit, but like, this is one of those things that when it was happening yesterday and there was no statement, it looks like the worst case scenario.
Right.
It looks like, oh my God, this is it. They're sellouts, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
Not to me, because I didn't know about it till this morning. And I'm like, oh, this makes sense. And I can totally see myself in a similar position to this.
Right.
And how do you handle that?
It's
and
a
word went up in a way that in an article I thought I took out, but it's there.
Right.
So what do we fucking do now? Because that's out there. I can't.
And that word was butt crack. It's just like, what do you do?
You know what? 2K butt crack. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to squad up. This is where one of you goes to kindafunny.com/KFGD. You give me your username, your platform of choice, the game you need help in, and why. We read it here, people find you, you all play together and be best friends. It's pretty awesome. Today, Matt Nickel writes in and says he needs help on PlayStation or Xbox for Fortnite Battle Royale. On PlayStation 4, he is change name please shoe. That's PLZSHU, of course. And then the Durgan Born over on Xbox. THEDURGENBORN. Fortnite Battle Royale is beating PUBG to console, and I'm going to play the ever-living piss out of it. But none of my friends are interested. When it comes out, I will need a team of best friends to squad up with. Who's pumped? Thanks, Matt. Everybody, find Matt either as, on PlayStation 4, change name please shoe, or Xbox, the Durgen Born. Matt's Squad Up was brought to you by Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community for creators with more than 1,700 classes in design, photo, and more. Premium membership gives you unlimited access so you can keep learning, find inspiration, and take on new projects whenever you want. The first 500 people to use the upcoming promo link will get their first 2 months free, and then it's as low as $10 a month after that to continue learning if you like, or cancel if you don't. There's no risk. You can learn from anywhere. Download the mobile app on Android or iPhone and tap into classes even when you're offline. I'm going to learn 3-minute French through them so I can talk to Jen's parents.
Oui.
Oh, where?
Bonjour.
Bonjour.
Les parents.
Le parent.
Les parents.
Yeah, that's how you do it. That's how you do it.
Le mère et le père.
Oh, look, he's already been taking 3-minute French. Tim uses it for video stuff because he's got to learn how to do video stuff that I'll never be good enough to do, but I could, I guess, if I wanted to use it. The first 500 people to sign up will receive a 2-month free trial. Go! This is Skillshare, remember, so skl.sh/kindafunny to start your free trial now. What else are you going to learn with? A shoe? We're running late. I want to get Danny home.
Sure.
So I'm
You're wrong.
I'll come back now. Yeah, get your wrongs in. A lot of people wrote in like why they don't like Marvel vs. Capcom and why they're fighting people. And it's not enjoying. Don't get me wrong, it's still a fun game. I'm starting to get many hours of it. It just feels like it falls short of other fighting games such as Tekken 7 and Injustice 2.
Right.
Said the Baka Flocka Flame.
Heard those models aren't super great.
What did we get wrong? Where people can go to, kindafunny.com/you're-wrong while we do it live. Tell us what we screwed up. Danny, what did we screw up?
K3BZ says Max Glimmer Destiny 2 is actually 99,999. I wish it was a fracking million.
What is it?
It's 99,999.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So it's just
so
shy of
100,000. My apologies.
So half
I just
of
know
it.
that I have 99999 plus up there. I just ignore it.
Whatever. .99. Just for clarification on the 2.8 million Switches comment from Reggie, he was referring to the worldwide sales of the system from launch on March 3rd until March 31st. He referenced this figure to defend from supply criticisms, as Nintendo had originally projected 2 million shipped in this time frame, so they did actually oversell.
Oh, I know the context of it. I was just telling you the number.
So there you go. That's it. That's all we got wrong.
Oh, nice. Well, fuck me. Look at that. All right, not too bad. Ladies and gentlemen, This, of course, has been kindafunny.com. Kind of funny.
Yeah, it's been kindafunny.com.
I'm ready for this week to fucking end. You know what I'm saying? Kevin's with me on that one.
You're going on a flight.
Yeah,
to do work
I'm
tomorrow.
gonna play Thimbleweed Park. It'll be great. I'm bringing Destiny with me. I'm just going down there to fucking punch Jeff Ramsey in his fucking face. You know what I mean? Show this guy. On Monday, it'll be very special. Kind of Funny Games Daily.
Oh, yeah.
Andrea Renee and Danny O'Dwyer hosting
Awesome.
without me. I
Yeah.
always love when that happens.
I got a 3 for next week.
Yeah, exactly.
Monday,
Final
Wednesday,
week.
Friday.
That's it. Friday. Your final
It's
one.
the final week.
Kind of Funny Games Daily comes each and every weekday. Variety of platforms: twitch.tv/kindoffunnygames, youtube.com/kindoffunnygames, podcast services around the globe. No matter where you get it, thank you so much for supporting it. Have a great weekend. Be safe. Play some games. And until next time, it's been our pleasure to serve you. What are you doing to that butt?